wanted to realtors.
Welcome, everyone. Happy Pride Month. And thank you for being with us here today. So whether you're joining us from eXp World or Bella Campus, YouTube, workplace, we're glad that we're connected today. So we have two events for you all today. First, we're going to have a fireside chat here with John Yen Wong, and his wife is in the car as well. Hello, because John's coming from a listing appointment. Hello.
Hi. Hi, how are you?
And Zaylor Stout. So we're going to discuss allyship and leadership in the real estate industry. Then we'll invite 4 eXp realtors and entrepreneurs to have a conversation about building success with pride. So they're going to share some really impactful stories about resilience, authenticity, and how that's transformed them into successful realtors. So stay with us to the last end of the segment, as we'll be flashing some opportunities to win some amazing prizes, which we'll talk more about later. We'll have a little time for Q&A as well.
I won this one. No problem.
We have just a short time together, so let's jump in. First, we have John Yen Wong. Thank you for joining us from San Francisco, California. John is an eXp realtor, first and foremost, right, John?
Absolutely.
Founding chairman of ARIA, so Asian Real Estate Association of America, and a huge, fierce advocate and ally of the LGBTQ plus community. Next, we also have Zaylor Stout joining us from Minneapolis, originally from Los Angeles. And Zaylor serves as a fierce advocate on LGBTQ plus issues, owns a law firm, practices law, and he is general counsel for the LGBTQ plus Real Estate Alliance. So John, we don't have much time with you today, so we're going to jump right in. Let's start with you. Can you tell us a little bit about your origin story of becoming an advocate and an ally in the LGBTQ plus community?
Sure. I think that may be best to begin with how sort of my real estate path. And part of it is went to Yale University, got out, decided not to go to law school, took some time off. I had a job as an intern at an insurance company. My friend of mine said that, hey, you have a lot more fun in the hospitality business. So I ended up working in a restaurant. It was a mobile 5-star restaurant in San Francisco called the Mandarin. But in that process, some of the folks that I got to know as customers said that you have the skill set to kind of be in real estate. And what I found is started working for a company, started opening my own firm. But I recognized that the folks like my parents, who waited 50 years after being in this country to buy their first home, didn't have access. And so I kind of built my career around first working with Vietnamese refugee immigrants, boat people, if you will, who started buying property, and then kind of built the business around that. The idea of forming an Asian Real Estate Association was, again, 20 years ago, was because there really wasn't a national voice that was advocating on the issues that helped a person buy real estate. There are parallels with the LGBTQ community because I'm in San Francisco, right at the midst, down in the Castro, when Harvey Milk was first running for a supervisor. So I also recognized the need to have a voice in the community. I also knew that my sister was gay very, very early on. My closest friend at Yale, who was my real estate attorney, also was gay. In fact, I knew he was gay before he did. So he just shared that with me. And my son is gay. So I think the intention for this and why ARIA is formed and my work in supporting as an ally for the LGBT community is to get the voices in the room. And I'll finish this opening with saying, it's not the voices in the room just to have somebody for a photo op. It's bringing in the knowledge and the skill of working with this community into the decision-making rooms, the boardrooms, if you will. So the best decisions are made for the company because the best use of resources and opportunities become then available. So to be an ally is not just to support and put something up, is to actually, for the folks who don't yet have that opportunity or don't have that resource, have individuals in the room who can help make better decisions overall. So that's kind of why I do what I do.
We're so glad to have you here, John. Thanks for joining us. And we're going to get more into that and your story in a bit. Zaylor, share with us. Tell us a little bit. Actually, I didn't get to introduce a lot about your book, Gay in 50 States. which has won a lot of awards as a nonfiction book, and you've written some others. And you've chronicled stories across the United States. So you've got a lot of experience in small towns, big cities. Tell us a little bit about how that ties into the real estate industry, and how you got started in support of the LGBTQ plus community.
Well, a lot of that, there's so many intersections there. It's hard to decide where to start. But interestingly enough, as it relates to the LGBTQI plus community, it's taken a while for there to be a broader acceptance of members of this community, even by their family members. And so that's always created a challenge when it comes to estate planning and things of that nature. And, being able to build your own home and being able to do so with a partner that you're able to get married to, and everything that is entailed in that. So the legalese as it relates to it has started from being non-existent to getting extremely complicated when dealing with domestic partnerships and all those different types of things, and has passed on to being able to do it just as everybody else does, able to get married and be able to move on and be able to build your life and build your family together. Part of my origin story is I actually was a realtor way back before I was an attorney. I only went, and that was in Southern California as well. And so I got my real estate license actually so I could only do my own transactions and the transactions of my friends. And then I went off to law school, became an attorney. And then, came to realize that there's how the law has impacted the ability of folks to be able to purchase homes, and how there have been, artificial barriers put into place as it relates to preventing many communities from being able to move forward in regard to home ownership. Learning in regard to how generational wealth is built by and through home ownership, and how that's worked for certain demographics within our country, and then other demographics that haven't necessarily had access to that. And so it was important for me to be able to be aligned with organizations that were working and at the forefront as it relates to that. And so given that I was significantly involved in the LGBT Chamber of Commerce here in the Twin Cities, I was approached by the LGBTQI plus Real Estate Alliance to join with them as their general counsel, as they work on advocating nationally as well as on a state by state basis in regards to broader acceptance and inclusion as it relates to LGBTQI plus folks in the housing market.
Thanks, Aylor. And John, since your wife is, I don't know if she's still in the car with you, but I was watching a YouTube video that you did a while back, and your wife actually mentioned in the video that it only takes one person to make an impact. So John, could you share with me sort of what that means for you and your wife? I know you're very involved with PFLAG, so specifically related to allyship. What does that look like, and how have you made an impact in that way?
Yeah. Well, let me put in, and Betty has left the car, that we've gotten where we're going, but I'll share with you, Betty is a top producing agent, top producing agent. Top producing agents get very focused on what they're doing. And it's sometimes to the exclusion of seeing everything else around them. And I put that in context because Betty's journey to becoming an ally, and really a staunch ally now, is not atypical, because she didn't know my son was gay. And my son came out to me in, I think it was 10th grade. He had just started high school. And he was deathly fearful of mom knowing, because mom is originally from Taiwan. And it's not uncommon for an individual to feel, my gosh, they find out they're not going to love me anymore. And so he asked me to not share anything until he was ready. And those were the toughest 2 years of my life, to keep quiet. And, on occasion, and it wasn't it wasn't with any antagonism, but there'll be jokes made about gay folks. We were down in Palm Springs at, White Weekend, and there were a lot of individuals there, and Betty and her friends from Taiwan just made some comments. Oh my God, what's going on, and stuff like that. So it's hardest for me as an ally to my son to honor his timing and desire. So when he finally came out, I think my wife was very nervous. She took me to a place. They say, John, sit down. I got to tell you something, because she had seen a letter in his room where he had written to this boy he met in Hawaii, expressing love, and it was the same name as a good friend of ours. So Betty thought it was a letter to our mutual family friend, and she sat me down, John, And then she told me, oh, and had me read the letter, and then she expected me to jump up and down and scream. I just kind of sat there, and she looked at me and says, "You knew?" And so, that process, then Betty figured out, well, how do I fix him? Again, not an uncommon response from parents. And so it was through another friend of our who owned a real estate company suggested PFLAG. We became the PFLAG. Betty went through boxes and boxes of tissue, but she realized there were other individuals who felt the same way she did and the same anxiety. And really, what was really fearful was, my God, how's the world going to treat my son? And so after that, she processed through, and top producing agent, what do we do? At that time, domestic partners could be notarized. And so at a pride parade, Betty got all of our ESCO officers who were notaries to have a bench of like 6 notaries at the end of the Pride Parade at the City Hall to notarize people's domestic partners. And we've also continued to be active in PFLAG, that when there are individuals who have Chinese origin, Asian, heritage, wanted to talk to someone. And so we talk to many families from the United States of Chinese heritage, and frankly, even in other countries. And Betty and I've learned is that you don't tell them it's normal and all. You just sit there and be a place for them to express. And over time, that's where um, understanding happens. So that's a lot of what we do as allies, is really on a one-to-one level. And a lot of it is through PFLAG still. Although with LGBT plus Q, there's a more um, macro stuff that.
Oh, sorry, broke up there a bit on my end. Thank you,
Sure.
John, for sharing all that.
A phone call came in, yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So I guess that in
Another
the
listing
end,
appointment.
to say that my wife's story is not, I don't think it's unusual. I think that that's very common, and the path that you help a person understand is just to be there to hear and listen, rather than try to teach them you're wrong. So that rarely works.
Yeah, that's so interesting. I actually came out at a younger age, but my brother came out. My brother was more obviously gay to everyone. Everyone thought he was gay since he was little. Didn't know that about me. So it's been interesting to have a gay sibling. And that goes to my next question for you, Zaylor. We were talking a little bit earlier about being an advocate and an ally for the rest of the community.
Yes.
So that's how I feel when I show up. I feel like sometimes I'm obviously, my wife and I live our lifestyle, but I learn more every day about how I can be a better ally for the rest of our community. Tell me a little bit about that and what you can leave our audience with that they can learn about today.
Absolutely. One thing I want to add, thank you for sharing your story, John, in regards to that. And like you said, it's an atypical kind of story that parents go through. And so I appreciate you sharing that, because it's more folks need to hear those types of stories, because they may see you as these huge allies right now and think that was always the case. And people need to be aware that it's a journey, and that people need to be aware that grace needs to be provided to people to come to terms with it, to learn and grow and understand the new language and acronyms and additional letters that come on the acronyms and all of that kind of stuff. And a lot of people get frustrated throughout that process. But, one thing that I say is, when with kids come out as to their parents, a lot of times they have to provide them with grace to be able to learn about, who their kid has always been. And so people, I think a lot of times forget to provide that grace to strangers, or people within their workplaces, or people within their places of worship. And so that's one of the things I always like to circle back on in regard to that, is that we need to provide the same grace to others that we provide to our parents, because there's very few people that came out and everybody was like, yay, this is the best news that I've ever heard, right? I have yet to find one person where that was the story. So to circle back to your question, Jessica, in regards to, serving as allies to other members of the community, that's one of the main things that I speak on. It was an important element for me when I was writing my book, Our Gay History in 50 States, was to highlight the stories of folks and people that aren't normally recognized, whose stories aren't normally uplifted. You normally don't hear about trans men. You normally don't hear about folks that are intersex. You normally don't hear about folks that are members of the AAPI community, right? You normally don't hear about folks that are two-spirit. And so for me, it was important to, folks that are asexual. It was important for me to make sure that when I wrote the book that I was, that hopefully everybody within our community can grab this book and find at least one person within the book that they can personally identify with. And so in doing so, I feel like I was trying to serve as an ally from that perspective. But today, especially with all the challenges and vitriol directed towards the transgender non-binary community, the broader gay and lesbian community really hasn't stood up as strongly and as firmly as they did for gay marriage. And that's problematic because, there's a wedge that's being put between the community and our adversaries that aren't about equality and aren't about, inclusion, are using that wedge to divide us. And so we need to make sure that we're standing firm and strong in regard to that. And the important part about that is knowing our history too. Because if we were honest in regards to sharing our history, that Stonewall, that majority of the people that were at Stonewall were Black and brown, people of color, trans and non-binary folks, that's kind of the stuff that's been lost throughout our history. And unfortunately, many of those trans and non-binary and POC folks haven't been involved in senior leadership within the LGBT organizations that have grown since Stonewall. And so when you have an absence of visibility of folks from those communities, there's a feeling and a belief that they're a drag and they're not contributing when they've always been there and they've always been involved and they've always contributed.
Yeah, I love that. I wore my HRC without exception t-shirt today, one of my favorites, and it is that it's without exception. And being in the real estate industry, well, in any industry, but specific to the real estate industry, we're here to serve every single human with the best service possible. And John, we're talking mostly about inside the industry versus the consumer side today, but we're going to be bringing some realtors in a little bit and having a conversation more focused on real estate. So I wanted to speak a little bit more on the impact as an individual for each of us in this industry and how we can grow and develop our leadership skills, and the value of rubbing shoulders with people that we can learn how to better articulate everything from our heart and amplify our own message. Tell me a little bit about how one could get started on a path like yours and build so many strategic partnerships in the industry.
Sure. I'm going to actually respond to that with a comment on what Zaylor mentioned to your earlier question, because I think it's critical. Because it's not a linear path. We make progress along the way, but it can go sideways in a heartbeat. And within the Asian community, right now, there are laws being passed around the country that in the interest of a real national security concern ends up having an overarching effect of disenabling folks from China, any kind of connection from buying real estate. It's much like when the country of Japan bombed Pearl Harbor. That was a declaration of war, it's a real threat. And yet we responded by putting Japanese Americans, including citizens, in internment camps. The same has happened with the LGBTQ plus community. I was ecstatic when all of a sudden my mayor, Gavin Newsom, legalized gay marriage, and it went back and forth, and it finally kind of happened. Yeah. But we can't assume we've got it goes forever. And what is needed is the continued conversation. And that includes even in different communities. In the Asian community, the Chinese have it, and the Japanese, but what about the Laotian? What about the Hmong, and communities? And within the LGBT, even early on at the first PFLAG meetings, that was 2 decades ago, we had one trans individual out gay and stuff like that. So felt it was a little unusual. So I think the way to leadership, and back in response to your question, is to always be open. Don't make assumptions. Listen to what is actually your person is saying. See the entire environment and make decisions with that. Don't ever go into leadership thinking I am the only way person who knows and is right. And if you have that and you're open to it, then better decisions are made. And frankly, if you do that, you're perceived as being a real leader rather than just somebody who's ramrodding their own ideas in. And to put in a plug, I felt that about this particular company. I've been involved in a lot of real estate companies, with organized real estate. I know most of the leaders, whether it's Anywhere or KW, you cut down the line, Compass. In fact, I think Robert Refkin and Betty and I saw each other last time we were in New York. So on the ARIA and the NAR level, I know that. But in the end, what I find with EXP, it is really open. And it doesn't, in this company, my experience, feels that it knows everything. It's willing to let's figure it out and get people engaged who are members of this company. So it's been a long time since I've been kind of doing this. Exciting to see where we are, and it's exciting to continue to work with the LGBTQ plus community and the Asian community and real estate community in general.
Yeah, I love what you shared. And it feels good to be in a place, not just where you're accepted or celebrated, but where they give you a microphone or a couple, and then they give it to you again and again. And I've seen so many agents in this company, realtors and staff that have really been developing and transforming really into that person that wants to speak out more about what's in their heart. So Zaylor, I want to, we're going to be giving away a few of your books to our audiences. And we've got a couple audiences. So we've got YouTube and Workplace, and then our virtual metaverse platform. We've got everyone there. And so we've got some graphics flashing. But I wanted to share the website for anyone that's watching. Oh, boom. Dang.
There it is. Wow.
Thank you, Stephanie Pranat. That's our production team in the DEI department supporting us. So so Gay in 50 States. What's next for you? What's coming up? It's a busy Pride Month, so we're so grateful that we got to have this time with you. But what's next for you coming up that anyone else might want to jump into as you're touring around the country?
Yep. So I'm still on the book tour, especially since the book tour was originally scheduled to start in February 2020, which is the same time COVID hit. So still on the long extended book tour. Most of the book tour previously was virtually, and now a lot more of it is in person. So I'm excited for that. I'm already working on the next book, which is Our Black History in 50 States, which will be out Juneteenth of next year. So you can pre-order copies of those at black50states.com. If you go to gay50states.com and purchase the book, we also have free curriculums online for download. So that's also available, especially for educators, all that kind of stuff. I love when realtors decide to provide a copy of my book to their client as a welcome to their home, as a gift for them. So that's always something that's great, especially if the clients or a member of the family of the clients or members of the LGBTQI plus community. It's a brilliant, beautiful coffee table book. So there'll be more books to come after that. So there'll be a whole series. So I'm looking forward to that and still continuing to be able to engage with the community here.
Awesome. Thank you, Zaylor. And I'm so bummed we lost John, but every time I get the opportunity to be near him, I learn so much and love his passion. So I think he might have dropped off, but I'm glad he joined us. And John is at nearly every LGBTQ plus real estate alliance, the organization itself, every event that I've been to, which I've been to their first national conference, and then the policy symposiums that we just recently saw each other in DC, he was there as well. And then I know he was at an SF event. So John's always around. So if you all want to meet John Yen Wong, you can also find him in Workplace. I hear he's not a big Facebook guy, or that's what he says, but he is on Facebook, and you can check out some of the work that John's done on YouTube as well. So Zaylor, anything you want to leave our audience with in terms of just like that one thing that they can start doing today to become a fierce ally for the community?
Well, I'll give you three really quick. So number one, support your local LGBT Real Estate Alliance chapter. So, they're going to have information on the ground in regards to what needs to be done in your state to support your local LGBTQI plus community. Also, advocate for broadening your state's anti-discrimination laws. Yes, there currently isn't any protections federally. So a lot of this is on a state-by-state basis. So you can really be involved, sending a letter, getting a couple of your friends to send letters, getting your local, real estate association to send letters and things of that nature can make all the difference. And then as well, make sure that your organization, the company that you work for, is also inclusive, and that you are holding realtors accountable that are violating your organization and your state's policies and procedures procedures as it relates to anti-discrimination. Just like attorneys, we're a self-regulating body and an organization. It's up to you, because you're the ones that are out there speaking to clients and all that kind of stuff. If people are doing things that are making your industry look undesirable, unfavorable, discriminatory, it's up to you to make sure that those matters are addressed and reported to the appropriate folks. So those are the three that I would bring up.
That's awesome. Zaylor was just sharing, John, 3 ways that people could jump in and be a fierce ally for the community. Number 4 is go to gay50states.com and purchase one of those books for yourself. And then, John, how about you? Let's wrap up. We're so grateful that you joined us today. Can you give us 1 or 2 top ways that somebody could jump in and be a stronger ally today in supportive of the LGBTQ plus community for the consumer or for their colleagues?
Yeah, I think that, and I'll step away into a broader role with the National Association of Realtors. NAR has moved by leaps and bounds toward recognizing the potential for discrimination and why it's illegal. I think there's a moment in time, and the window open now is to be visible and vocal. And by that, I don't mean necessarily shouting, but just point out. It's not uncommon that when I hear some comments made, oh yeah, and I don't say, hey, my son's gay, what are you doing? You say, yeah, my son and Sean just got married, and so you make it matter of fact that it's just life. And I think that's the way to sort of bring folks into it. And when you are actively in discrimination, it's no different than somebody is saying, I don't want any Black people or Asian people buying my property. Yeah. Have a conversation around, and sometimes it's not as direct, but to be able to recognize and have that conversation. So I think that's the kind of the primary thing that we can do. Kind of look at the strides that we made with recognizing the LGBT community. Yes, Will and Grace as a TV show, a comedy, made it big strides. But it was really this Chinese guy who did the Hulk movie that made Brokeback Mountain that all of a sudden brought it completely. And you had 2 actors who were not gay in it. And I think that kind of opened up everybody's eyes that, these portrayed gay individuals who are not portrayed as what one typically views stereotypically in the past. And you had actors who were significant actors who played, the Joker or something like that. So I think those kind of things start opening people's eyes, because when that happened, in my own experience, a whole lot of friends realized, there are folks in my family who are gay I didn't know. It empowered them to actually start sharing with their immediate family, and then sort of broader family. And I'll finish that with my, wife's story. I think my wife had said, please, Gerald, don't tell anybody in Taiwan there are no gay people in Taiwan. And my son goes, well, I don't think that's entirely true, because we had visited Taiwan for years and years. And so he had discovered independently clubs that he could go to and stuff. And we now find that my Betty's brother's daughter has come out as gay. And so what happens when you find out somebody in your family, then it changes your thinking. It says, okay, I know something else about them also. This is not something that I should kind of diss without thinking about. So
I love that. And Aria, now actually Tim Herr is coming in as the incoming president, identifies as a gay male, and he's a hoot. I don't know if I'd put him on YouTube on our company platform, because he's wild when you give him a mic. He's so much fun.
That's true.
And I will say Tim was president last year, so he's president 1 year removed. And now that he is not the sitting president, he's had more latitude to make some really quotable comments.
Well said. Yeah. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. That makes a lot more sense now. Awesome. Well, thank you, John. Thank you, Zaylor. We're going to bring in some realtors and hope to see you soon. See you in Houston, I believe. John.
Take care.
We'll see you guys soon. Take care. Appreciate you both. Bye-bye. Hey, Melissa. I love that you put your Insta handle. Hi, Joan. Hey, Garrett. You all look amazing. And then we have Scott joining us as well. Scott Wilson. Hey, everybody. So you've all been backstage, and we had a prep session not too long ago. And I thought we should have maybe just recorded that and uploaded it because it was so amazing. So I'm excited for everyone else to hear your story. So welcome, everyone. Thank you for enjoying that conversation with John Yen Wong and with Zaylor Stout. I can't see what's flashing in EXP World Auditorium, but I'm sure that the team is flashing through some opportunities to submit your video about what Pride means to you and win some really cool prizes. So we'll go into those a little bit more later, but I want to introduce you to these 4 amazing dynamic realtors. These are all EXP realtors, entrepreneurs, marketing masters, community builders. So I'm excited. Melissa Hudson, let's have everyone just do a fire round intro, your name and where you're located, how long you've been with EXP Realty.
Oh, you're muted.
Oh, you're muted, Melissa, but jump in.
Okay, sorry. Start it over. Hi, y'all. I'm Melissa Hudson. I'm from Austin, Texas. I've been in real estate over 10 years. Again, I work the Austin market, and I've been with EXP since 2015. And a fun fact, I think I'm agent 608.
Ooh.
And I heard you on Glenn Sanford's expansion podcast just today. I watched the episode, and you also said 608. So you've got that nailed. It's consistent. Joan, how about you?
Hi, my name is Joan Thomas. I've actually been with EXP a short time. I joined in January. I am a part of a large organization, which is the Wealthy Group, and I am by the Wealthy Mixologist, which is the largest group within the Wealthy Group. But I've been a licensed realtor for the past 6 years, and this year I got my broker's license, so now I am an associate broker with EXP.
That's awesome. Scott.
Hey everyone, Scott Wilson from Orlando, Florida. I've been with EXP just under 2 years, and I'm part of the Ben Lobby Homes team here in Orlando, serve in Central Florida and through Tampa.
Awesome. How about you, Garrett?
Hey, Garrett Turner here. I've been with EXP since 2/2 of 22. So February 2nd, 2022 is when I joined, and I'm in the Maryland, DC, and Virginia area.
And I'm located in Georgia, so if anybody needs to know.
Referrals. Yep. Send your Georgia referrals to Joan. So everyone, we're going to jump in today because we just have a short time with all these realtors, and we want to make sure that you, the audience, that you walk away today with something that has resonated with you to help you push through, break through whatever it is that you're faced with currently in your career or in your path to whatever success is for you. So we want to make sure that we really dig into these stories. Melissa, I'd love to start with you if you're good with it.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Tell us a little bit about how you have built success through resilience, and what does that look like for you? I know we talked about going 3-4 minutes, but we've got enough time. So what story do you want to share with the audience that you think might help them break through whatever they're going through?
Thank you, Jessica. Yeah, I don't mind diving in and starting. Real estate was my kind of like second chapter in life when it comes to, what I thought I was going to be, my vision of who I thought I was going to be. When you grow up, you think, I want to be a doctor, I want to be a lawyer, I want to be this and that. And I found myself with 2 kids, 1 on each hip. I was 22 years old. There you go, Garrett, with your 2-2 number. I was 22, single mom, 2 kids. The only thing I could do without a college degree at the time was work in state government in the state of Texas. And back then you went through a temp agency first, then they hired you on. So it was kind of what I had to do, right, to put food on the table. I went a good portion of my early 20s into my 30s. I did 15 years in state government. And there was a point where I was training the supervisors that were going to be above me. And I thought, I don't like this. I don't want to do this. So I started to look into investing, and I quickly realized, I don't have any money, so I can't invest in homes if I don't have money. So that was like a realization for me. But, I come from a very humble working class family. There's no business owners. There's no, none of us have college degrees. I think I've got one cousin that maybe have an associate's, but that was my path in life. I didn't have the model in which how I would become successful. So in one of the real estate investing conventions that I went to, this one lady was like, "You can do this." I will never forget her, Melinda from San Antonio. I think she's with EXP now. I'll have to find her. But fun fact is, her and her husband used to be on one of those first home shows, flip shows, right? But anyway, moving on, she said, "You'd be a great realtor." And I thought, me, I don't know if I could do this, but I ended up getting my real estate license. I was 30 something years old. And it's just been from that point on, you ever feel like, oh, I should have been doing this whole time? That was my aha moment in real estate. And that was from there on, this happy accident, if you will, just became something that has been a real passion of mine. And building the business, it just only became easier with EXP because of all the tools and everything that was provided to me. I was in real estate over almost 3 years before I came with EXP. And when I got here, I realized, I can be a business owner. I can actually be a business owner and not just this real estate agent working, on a team and just trying to make my path. So that's kind of my story and how
I'm gonna ask you a question, something that you shared that I'd love to tie into this being our Pride event. You said something to us earlier about how when you came to real estate, you sort of had to make this decision to be you.
Yeah.
And that the type of clients that you were going to work with were going to be ones that were going to be accepting of who you are and what you brought to the table.
Yeah, I was totally in the closet when I worked for state government. Nobody knew it. Nobody knew my status, right? So, and I was like the stealth, right? Because I had the 2 kids. So there was a lot of assumptions that were made. I did have a kind of a rocky path when I was found out, because I had a friend that outed me at work, and that was really tough. When I came into real estate, I was like, okay, how am I going to do this? What kind of clients am I going to service? Are they going to judge me? Am I going to lose business? So, I had to just decide just to be open and be myself. And I don't know if anybody has struggled with that or been through that, but it is something to think about. And these are things that, straight people don't worry about, right? Let's just be honest, right? So, for me, just coming out and being myself, I was able to choose my clients in my business and work with people that know, like, and trust me. And, having a support system with EXP and this community we have here, it made things easier, right? Because it can be scary. So I would just, a little advice, if anybody's out there struggling with that, they're going to want to do business with you. And that's what I found over the years. And just being myself has created great success.
That's awesome, Melissa. Thanks for sharing that. Who wants to jump in next? Joan, you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. Just go into it.
Yeah, tell us your story. Like Melissa shared, something how it relates to some challenges that you've faced and how I know that you personally have reinvented yourself in real estate as well.
Yeah, so kind of like Melissa, or just like Melissa, our stories are kind of parallel. I have children as well, and I came out later in life, very recent, maybe like 2.5, 3 years ago. So being licensed, coming into real estate, I was married to a man, and I had 3 children, or a whole family with his kids included. So coming out, not only to my family, but to the world, was an obstacle. It was scary. It was hard. And now you are a business owner and you want to be loud and proud, and you want to share your life and share your family, because I've always done that across all my socials. So now you have to think about what you post before you post it, because how are your past clients going to view this, or, but I just came to, kind of like what Melissa was saying, I came to a realization, like, people are going to want to work with me. They know who I am. They know me. And I joke about it now, but I always say, if you knew me 5 years ago, you don't know me today, because who I was 5 years ago, that's not who I truly was. Like, I've struggled with this internally since I was 16, 17 years old. So the person that I created to show up as to the world was never who I really was. And that led me down a dark road to where 2019, my business suffered. I was 252 pounds, 5'1", and I didn't even want to leave my house. So I want everybody to think about that when you do have a family member that comes out or a friend that comes out. Think about how you take that on, or how you relate to it or respond to it, because you don't know the struggles that we go through internally, the battles, or how long. I know somebody asked me like, well, how you just wake up gay? No, I didn't wake up one day and say, this is who I am. But as far as like that, I spent 2020 while everybody else was suffering during the pandemic and not knowing what the world was going to look like. 2020 COVID saved my life. I spent that year of isolation, even though I was still working, because at that time I was an on-site agent, and that gave me a place to be. It gave me somewhere to go, and it gave me a schedule that I had to adhere by. So now I have to get up and get dressed. I have to leave this house. And when I went on site, it also gave me a sense of, now I have the freedom to be who I am and be okay with that. So 2020 during COVID, I spent time with myself, and I started working out, and I lost 100 pounds. And with shedding that weight, it was like shedding the weight of the world, shedding the weight of trying to please everybody else and be who everybody else wanted me to be. And when I came out of that, I was like, either they're going to love me or leave me, but I have to live for Joan. I have to be who I am and be proud about it and be happy about it. And I'm proud to say now I'm still running a successful real estate business. Like I said, I just came back from general sales in January. I got my broker's license in February. I don't think I really started working my business once I came on the ESP in February. I didn't really start working my business till about March, after my birthday. And the end of this month, I'm closing my 5th deal, and I have several deals on my board right now. And I've had, several conversations. So to say, don't be afraid of the people who don't want to work with you, or who aren't going to be there for you, or who aren't going to pour into you, because that handful of people, you have a million people. Especially when I came on and I saw on the workplace, the Pride Network, I was like, these are my people. This is where I'm supposed to be. Because, I bled red for my first 3 years. I was Keller Williams, and I knew people in my office who were, gay or lesbian, but it wasn't a department. We didn't have like a council, or, like, who can I talk to? Like, I spoke to my coach about it, because I was struggling in my marriage. And that's essentially why I left my marriage, because it's nothing you can do for me. Like, it's nothing you can do to save it. This is who I am. But there wasn't this network of people that you could lean on and, learn from and grow from. And when I saw that, and from our call the other day, it's just like, this is where I'm supposed to be. This is home. So that's my story.
We're so glad you're here, Joan. And
I love Joan's story.
I love your story.
It has a lot of layers of onion layers on it, but we don't have enough time to go down that rabbit hole.
I love it. Scott, Garrett, who wants to go next?
I can jump in there. It's fine.
Yeah, go ahead, Scott.
And then Joan, I know it talks about bleeding red. My first 2 years in real estate, I made zero money. So I know exactly, just a different type of red. But yeah, I came into real estate older. I was in corporate America. And it was actually in that position, that role I was in corporate America, they had a don't ask, don't tell policy. So I was closeted a lot in my corporate job, and I was very successful in it. And what really got to me as I was getting older was I wanted to be myself, and what could I do to be myself, have a family, be out to everybody, and not hide anymore. So that's when I got into real estate. And real estate for me, just luckily for me, when I was doing research, you had the KWs out there, you had us, and this team that I joined is very, very diverse. And I started doing research about EXP and started seeing what they do for family inclusion, all their DEI things. And I really said, like, man, this would be a great place for me because I'm literally going to come into a new career, brand new, and I can actually be who I am and feel I'm being supported. And sure enough, I am. So, like I said, the first 2 years, the first year, with no business, anything coming in, I'm out making my calls, I'm meeting people, doing everything you're supposed to be doing. And I thought the same thing, like, man, it's because I'm gay, people don't want to work with me. And then because you start self-doubting because you see all these people closing deals and all this stuff and you're not doing it. So I was getting concerned, but I mean, luckily with our team, we have good members to talk to and they teach you about what's going on and how things will work. And everything is true. If you be yourself, eventually it'll come around. When people want to do business with you, they want to be around you because of who you are. And I think in real estate, that connection has to happen between yourself and the clients. And I think once your client gets to know you and trust you, obviously you're going to help them through one of the major purchases of their life. It's all about who you are. And I was so worried about the gay things coming up. What do you do? How's this? How do you guys do all this stuff? And it never comes up. Because people want to respect you and work with you because of what you can do for them. And it's so important to have the support and that EXP has and goes out. So I mean, anyone out there that is nervous about what's going to happen or this and that, just like be yourself. There's so much resources, so many resource groups that we have that you can reach out to and others. Just something every now and then, we all just need a little pick me up and say, hey, you're going to get through this. It's difficult, but we're here to support you. We'll make it. And that's very important to me. And that's one of the reasons I think I'm excelling with EXP and my real estate career. So that's pretty much my story.
I love that story. I love your story, Scott. And so there's some very similar things coming through, right? But reinvention is one of them. Resilience. Garrett, you've really lived an experience of reinventing yourself and resilience.
Yeah. So, as I shared with all of you when we did our practice call and so forth, I came out at a much earlier age. I came out when I was in college. And the determining factor for me was really, I kind of took a look around my family and I saw who some of them were dating. And I thought to myself, the guys I'm dating are pretty okay. I think I need to be able to bring them home. And so, I was very nervous because my father is Jamaican. My mother met my stepfather in seminary, so they are pastors. I have another uncle who's a pastor and another uncle who has since passed away, but was also a pastor. Okay. So it was, and I grew up in the church, so it was definitely something I was very nervous about, but I stand on the shoulders of people like you all, and the stories you shared today are exactly the reason why I felt it so important to come out earlier in life, because I can only imagine what it was like to reinvent yourself, after you've already had kids and people know you as this happy couple, and so forth with your spouses of the opposite sex, especially because now they have to, learn your new spouse, right? And what does that mean? And how do I interact? And so on and so forth. So, I love the stories that you guys share. But like I said, I came out at a very scary time. I then, was working in the nonprofit sector, and I was kind of like Melissa. I was on the trajectory to be a CEO, and I left a job as my sister got sick. And she died last year from cancer. And so it turned out to be the very last 367 days, I think, of her life, the time I left the job to the time she passed. So I am so grateful for the fact that I did make that decision. But during that time, I was thinking, what am I going to do? And I started real estate classes, not knowing whether I would actually do anything with it or not. My husband had been in real estate, and he kind of went back to work full time when I needed to take a step back. So we kind of traded places there. And once I got my real estate license, I knew I had to be part of EXP, but I didn't know just how great it was going to be. He had talked to me a lot about rev share and all of the other things. But, to Joan's point, it's like I found like the Pride Network and, like Scott, having worked in a completely different, sector, they didn't have events like this during Pride Month. And one of the things, this is going to sound so, stupid, but it's so true. I am just proud that we don't, just throw the rainbow flag across the EXP during Pride Month. Seeing the way that the flag is behind our pictures and things, and our logo stays the same, because we don't need to pander to those that think that essentially Pride is just what we do during June. What I like about EXP is that EXP is authentic enough to say, no, we believe in Pride year round. We just happen to celebrate in June. And so being part of this organization and being able to be with, folks like Joan, Melissa, Scott, you, Jessica, and having this network, as well as having like the Black network that is also part of EXP, is huge for somebody who's got multiple, facets to them. And their company sees them for more than just a number that produces revenue for them. So.
Yeah, that's so true. Melissa, I know you're a mentor, right?
Yes.
And a couple of you, maybe you've done some mentorship in one way or another, I'm sure. One thing that I like to talk a lot about, and I'd love to get a little input from each of you, is how can someone in our audience, or maybe they watch this video later on, so anyone that's watching this, how are you rubbing shoulders with the people that have poured into you? Like, I love the saying, like, replace haters with mentors, right? Like people that are going to celebrate you and pour into you, so that you can in turn, support others in their leadership development and in their careers and their growth. What's like one tip or one way that you've reached out and connected and got in the room with people that have helped you?
Sure. I mean,
Go ahead, Scott.
Sorry, a workplace for sure works for me. I go on there, and if I had questions for about mentor things, people always are meant that you just direct message and reach out to. That's a really, in the chat. I love the chat. I really get questions answered there and support when I need it.
Yeah, I love that. How about you, Melissa?
Just to piggyback off what Scott was saying, I think if you are so bold, and you might be surprised if you have admiration or inspired by an agent that you feel like that's a level I'm gonna, I would want to be at one day. You'd be surprised if you reach out to somebody on the workplace that they'll respond to you and help you. I mean, that's one of the things that that's never, I mean, it doesn't surprise me, but it always excites me, right? And local events in your town or your city, or maybe within a 30-minute to an hour's driving distance, if you have any agents that are having groups, lunches, lunch and learns, any of those things, go out and meet those people and find a good way to collaborate in that capacity. In my city, Elizabeth Riley has a club called the AHA Club. It's agents helping agents. And the AHA Club meets once a month. And we meet at our local board. And it's not just EXP agents, it's agents from other brokerages, but mostly EXP, of course, because we all want to be in the room with our people. So if you find your way, or find any of these EXP agents holding these type of events, I would plug into those. And I always find that I learn a lot from my peers. And I just put myself in the table with the people who are just like doing these amazing numbers. And I just ask all kinds of questions and they answer, and I love it.
That is so true. I know that making mentorship is the DNA of our company, right? We're exposed to so many, and a lot of them are formal, right? So you can have that formal relationship where, like, hey, you're my mentor. But I also love the idea of just reaching out to someone with a problem that you think they might be able to help you solve, and say, hey, I just wondered if I could get 5 minutes of your time. Do you have a calendar, or do you have time just for a quick question? I've got a problem that I think you may have solved, or you may be able to help me solve, and I just wanted to get your opinion. It's really as simple as that. And then I would say too is offering mentorship, right? Everywhere you show up. Hey, I'd love to connect with any of you. I'm always surprised when you offer that, how few people actually reach out. So just a tip for you all, everyone that you see here, if something resonated with you, write their name down. We all have the blessing of being able to connect with each other on our workplace platform. So reach out. How about you, Garrett?
Yeah, I love what all of you said. And actually, Melissa, that's a great idea to start something like that in my own area, the AHA Club. But, you know, I really love workplace like all of you. I mean, because what's so great is you can reach out to somebody who's not necessarily in your area. While they might not be able to help you solve something on, you know, the Maryland contract because they're in California, at the same time, we have so many knowledgeable people that have dealt with tough negotiations or dealt with problematic agents on the other side or dealt with various types of issues. But one of the things that I've done is I've gone ahead and signed up for EXP Luxury. And the reason why is they offer those masterminds to members, you know, a specific time of the month, and then it's open to the rest of EXP the other Wednesday of the month. I think it's the second and the fourth Wednesdays of the month. But I say that to say it has been really eye-opening because, like Melissa said, we've got some awesome top producers, and to be able to hear what they're doing and to see how engaging they are and willing to share with, you know, younger agents they are is really awesome. So that's a great way to tap into some expertise and as well as, you know, some additional tools and things that are offered to the EXP Luxury agents. So.
Yeah, I love that. How about you, Joan? What's been your experience with mentorship and mentoring at EXP? You've just been here for a shorter period of time. What's that experience been like? Any tips?
It's been amazing. Like I said, I don't know if you guys know, Terry and Calvin Gleaton are the founders of the Wealthy Group. So every Monday and Friday morning at 8:30, we have a mastermind session. We have different top producing agents that have come on and they've, you know, poured into us. I have actually taught maybe 2 or 3 masterminds myself since starting in February. And then, of course, within the Wealthy Group, I am a part of the Wealthy Mixologist. And we have our meetings every Monday night, which is a more intimate because we're a smaller group. And then I've also my own agents. I have brought on 3 agents under me. And every Wednesday at 6 p.m., I pour into my agents. And last night we actually had an amazing call. This week is Terry's birthday. So happy birthday, Terry. She has been, I mean, literally, I told my agents last week because they're all basically brand new agents and I want to get them producing just so that they know that they can do it, you know, removing the fear and those barriers. So I told them last week, I said, next week, I want between now and next Wednesday, I want you guys to think about your why, think about your ideal client, think about those barriers. And then we get on the call on Monday. And that's exactly what Terry was teaching about. And I had no idea that that was what she was going to talk about, and it just aligned. So last night we had a more intimate session where we talked about their why, and I made them come out. It's only 4 of us on this call. We all trust each other. This is where we're going to put it all on the table. What is your why? What are your barriers? What are those limited beliefs that you're putting on yourself? And how can we remove those? So I've committed them to a 21-day challenge of just in the morning sitting with themselves and, you know, going over their why and their barriers and those limited beliefs. And I have them recreating those beliefs and making them affirmations, speaking life into themselves, because I feel like the tongue is very powerful. What we put out is what we get back. So yeah, and as Garrett said, I think I want to start like a little, I'm sure all over Atlanta we have meetups or whatever, but I would love to start my own little meetup where I could pour into a lot more agents, whether they're EXP proud or anything else, you know. So that's pretty much how I kind of rub shoulders with my mentors and I also have an outside mentor. She has a real estate school. So every once in a while we'll get on a call and I'm teaching a class for her June 28th. It's understanding the issues, understanding LGBTQIA issues within real estate. It's a free CE course. So if you're in Georgia and you want to grab those free CE credits, I'm teaching that class. It's on the website at candlerealestate.com. candlerealestateacademy.com.
So Joan, you came out, reinvented yourself in real estate, and then just within less than a year, you're teaching certified education classes. I love it.
Are you writing a book? The rainbow is following me. The rainbow is just, I carry my flag on my back. When I'm in a relationship, my partner is a lesbian promoter. So we're out and we're proud and we're loving, we're in love, we're happy. And I'm just here to spread the knowledge and the awareness, because I feel like it's a dark place to be in that closet. It's very dark. It's very lonely. And I just believe that everybody should have the freedom and the choice to be themselves, love who you love, and not be judged from it. So yes, I am bleeding the rainbow. I am the rainbow.
I love that. Melissa, you're a 3-time icon agent and 4-time icon agent. So give the audience some tips. Not necessarily, it could be real estate, but just entrepreneur and business owner and mom and becoming an icon agent. What kind of tips do you have for the audience?
Okay, well, I really lean back in on the tools that EXP offers, but one of the things I do every year is I do the vision board. I know it sounds crazy and some people are like, that is super cheesy, but I had to get the imposter syndrome off of my face, because I'm telling you, I was going in there thinking, I don't know how these people are doing it. And then it dawned on me, well, why can't I do it too? And so doing the vision boards and just aligning myself with the vision that you put in front of you, right? So these are the things, these are my goals, and this is what I want to accomplish. And there was a point in time where, I was just like newer to EXP, but at that time, and I thought, well, I want one of those icon awards too. What do I have to do to get there? So, I just put a plan together. I did some unconventional farming in my neighborhood, but I also used KV Core to make it more tech related. And I was putting out squeeze pages. I created neighborhood group pages because they were blocking my posts from the KV Core squeeze pages. So I was like, well, if they don't want my post on there, I'm going to create my own Facebook neighborhood pages. So I created 4 or 5 neighborhood pages where I could just go invite all those people from those pages onto my page and solicit listings. And then of course we're in Texas. So I was like, what is swimming pools, right? It's hot. So I thought, well, here are the newest homes with swimming pools in the Austin area. And I was just getting clicks left and right, building my KV Core 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000. Just thousands of leads coming in. Of course, you have to convert those leads, right? But seriously, guys, just utilizing EXP tools, setting my goals, and then getting out of my own darn way, because that's what I was doing. I was just in my own way. And imposter syndrome is real, and it can take you down. It can take you down real fast. But if you plan it and you put a goal together and just chip away, I was just chipping away. And there was one point where I think it might have been my first or second icon. You guys, believe it or not, some of these icon agents will, at the time, and I don't know what they do now, but we were coming together and saying, hey, how many more do you need? Can I give you a lease? Can I give you a lead? Just something to help you reach your icon goal. So really connecting with people within EXP. And if your goal and the path is to icon status, I'm telling you guys, we can help you get there. You just connect with your people. And I don't know, there's a lot of layers to how I became successful, but I think ultimately I really just had to believe in myself and just be patient with the success.
Jess, you're muted.
Oh, you're muted.
Melissa, I need to come hang out with you.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, we'll be talking later.
I can give y'all some tips.
Yes.
Let's see at the Alliance.
Yeah, Garrett, you should.
Uh-oh. Did anybody else lose her?
Yeah.
A little bit okay. Well, y'all carry on with some tips.
Well, one of the things, so being a newer agent, it's tough because, of course, I haven't even shared just yet with my sphere of influence that I am in real estate. So all of my deals have been organic and so forth. I know, Melissa, I know, but I'm about to make the announcement, but I'll tell you what it was. I was very nervous because I said, what if I don't make it as a real estate agent? Now I've gone out to these people that have known me, you know, in another capacity. I used to be a chief operating officer. Before that, I was a chief development officer. I've been in fundraising the majority of the time. And so I thought, what if I don't make it as a real estate agent? And now I've gone out and I've made this big announcement and then I didn't do anything with it, you know? And so when you talk about that imposter syndrome, I mean, that's kind of where I was, because I'm thinking they've known me as something else for so long. But, you know, part of me making the investment into EXP Luxury, for instance, was me saying, that's it. I need to double down. I am committed to this, and I am doing this for me. Because I was having that moment where I finally realized, you know, who cares if I didn't make it in real estate, number one, because am I doing it for them or am I doing it for me? Well, the answer is I'm doing it for me, and I really do love this industry. Therefore, I'm going to be making the announcement. I will be working my sphere of influence. And the nice part is, because the majority of those that I know from a professional world are CEOs, COOs, and the like, you know, my hope is that, and executive recruiters and so forth, my hope is that I'll be able to, you know, create my own narrative in terms of working with those that are relocating, those that are, you know, changing roles and therefore maybe looking for a different type of house and all of those kinds of things. So yeah, that's my biggest thing is I know we need to work our sphere of influence. I just had this freak out moment before sharing that, but very soon I'll actually be putting that out on LinkedIn. The other thing that I did though in the short term, I took a lot of leasing opportunities, and I took the time to create a you know, separate property management thing, because obviously we can't do that with EXP, but you can sign your ICA and you can have that off to the side. It's taught me so much, and it's like referred me so much business. You know, the one really great story that I love to share for anyone who is, you know, thinking, why would I ever work with someone who needs to list their lease, or why would I work with someone who needs to lease? That I found someone because of, so I put a listing out there for a 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom. The guy responded, and he thought that he was going to be buying the building and then be an owner occupier. Okay. I ended up selling him a duplex that was $450 some odd thousand, right? Then he got deployed, and I property manage it for him. And because we're doing so well with the property management, he wrote me from overseas to say, when I get back, I don't want to disturb that. Why don't you just help me find another duplex? Absolutely, not a problem. So, you know, those are the kinds of things where I'm not saying that that happens with every single lease, but you have to be willing to play in the big blue ocean and not be doing everything that everybody else does. And I love your tip, Melissa, about those community pages. And I've been thinking about how to work that kind of thing.
And a lot of what you said, Garrett, too, like the leases. It's good to start with the leases because eventually they're going to buy. So you keep those people in your pipeline and you nurture them and you stay in contact with them. Eventually they're going to buy. And if they don't buy today, guess what? They know people. Yep. And they're going to remember that this is the only agent that would show me rentals, because a lot of agents, they get the rental and then they refer it out, you know, and then they refer it to newer agents or whatever. But that was one thing I was taught early on. Take the rentals, because those renters are going to turn into buyers. A crazy story. We had a young lady who was sitting in the office. You know how they used to do the one agent on duty and they would get the phone calls. She got a phone call for a lease, and she did the lease, and they reached out to her within that next year ready to buy $1 million home, because they were especially in like the Atlanta area and like the California area, you have people moving to these areas and they don't know where they want to live, right? So instead of making a permanent decision of purchasing a home, they're going to rent first and they're going to see if they like that area, or maybe they want to move to another area, but eventually they're going to find an area that they like. And then they're going to come to the agent that put them in that rental and who emails them every week, or I get a recipe in the mail on a postcard every month. You know, they're going to, that's the agent that they're going to call when they're ready to buy. So don't look down on the rentals, because
Don't sleep on the lease.
That's right.
Don't sleep on the lease.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Love that.
Yeah, and do as many houses as you can. I mean, in the beginning, that was what really got me over the hump. Just every weekend, even during the week, doing open houses. You get to work on your dialect with talking to people, dialogue with questions, and get more comfortable showing houses. All the fun things about putting open house signs out, and you know you're there while no one's there. You're working on your computer, calling your leads. So open houses are a key thing that helped me out.
Yeah, I think that's a huge piece of it, is figuring out how to talk about these things, especially when you've been in other careers before coming into real estate. Learning to talk about the features of a house, learning also when to shut up and listen, right? It's a tricky thing. You've got to get the right cadence. So yeah, that's a great tip, Scott.
Also, I mean, I'm very heavy listening, and look, I'm never too successful to hold an open. I'm holding one this weekend on one of my listings. Like, I try to be of value to my sellers and tell them, look, yes, I have a team. Yes, I have a group of agents I can have to hold the open, but you're important enough to me that I can take time out and do an opening weekend or something, you know? So I do agree with you, Scott, with the open houses. It really is a good way to get you to learn the neighborhood if you're doing an open in your neighborhood or a neighborhood you're wanting to farm. And that's what I did here in my neighborhood. And I am the most selling agent in my neighborhood because I took the time out to hold the opens, do the work, do the footwork, know my stats. They get them every Friday. Every single one of these groups will get the stats every Friday. What's for sale, what's sold, what's the average sales price. And when they walk into the open, I'm going to tell you, these people already know me. They're like, hey, Melissa. I don't know them personally, but they're like, seeing your face in the sign, get your stuff all over social media, you know, see the sign writers in the openings of the neighborhood. I don't know if you saw the podcast with Glenn, Jessica, so you know that I created a website for the city I live in. And what I did was I got the sign writers with my website, and they're $3.50. So if they get tossed, I was fine. And I put them on every single neighborhood in the little town I live in outside of Austin. And I drove them to my website. And that's how I started to beef up leads in my website. And some would get tossed. And then my husband and I were out there in the hot sun, putting them back in every single week just to get them coming. Name, face recognition goes a long way.
Yeah, absolutely. And just that took a little time and work on the back end, right? I always say, you know, the more you can get done on the back end, if there's things that you don't like doing, or say, for example, somebody says, well, don't work the rental leads. And you say, yeah, you're right. I don't really want to take time. Well, some people build huge businesses. We have an agent, he was just on Glenn's podcast, that has built a huge business around that. So if you don't think it's worth following up, then automate it. You know, how can you stay in touch with them 12, 18 times a year and, you know, kind of touch on them and nurture them without, you know, feeling like you're spending all your time doing it. So yeah, EXP offers so many tools for us to automate nearly everything, right? So I'm not sure if I'm freezing. So am I freezing for you guys?
Not anymore.
Good. Okay. Just wave me down if I'm freezing. Anyhow, so we don't have much time left. And for anyone in the audience, we're going to be posting in the EXP LGBTQ plus Pride Network. We'll be posting the ways that you can win the prizes that we are offering today. We've got some conference tickets valued at $800 for the LGBTQ plus Real Estate Alliance conference coming up in September in Houston, Texas. We're coming out towards you, Melissa. Yeah. We've got a few of the autographed books from Zaylor Stout, gayin50states.com. You can check it out. And then we also have some memberships for the Alliance, which has tons of value. So if you don't have a membership yet, we have a discount code all year long, 25% off. I believe it's $200 for your first year. So we've got some of those memberships as well. So let's wrap it up. Let's do a fire round. I want to lean back into authenticity and storytelling. What is one way that you're building your legacy in real estate that someone, tell everyone a little bit about how important it is to tell your story on social media, and maybe a little tip, a little fire round.
So I'm going to go first because I'm actually the worst at social media. So don't do what I'm doing. But one of the things that I would say that we have been talking about for the rest of this year is actually, so I'm, again, since it's 4 months into my second year, because my anniversary date is in February, I am definitely striving to make icon this year. That is a big goal for me. And part of what I plan to talk about is doing some case studies with some of my clients who I've been able to help with some great successes, both in terms of negotiation and in terms of maybe getting renters into units that other people had previously said could never happen or what have you. We've got some good success stories from the last year. And so I need to do more to share those. And so that's a big piece of what I'll be doing on my social media between now and the end of the year to try and, drum up some additional business to make icon. So make sure to share those stories, those success stories.
Right. So Garrett, copying off of that a little bit, what I do on my social media is I don't keep it all real estate. I'll do some things personally, family, other things I like doing. So people can kind of start getting attached, understand who I am. They just don't know me as a realtor. They kind of know as that crazy guy in Orlando that's all over the place. Like, where's Waldo tonight? So I do a little bit of everything there just to try to make people see that I'm real. You can talk to me, and it's just not real estate all the time. I have my dog and a lot of my stuff. My dog gets more likes than I do.
Yeah.
So.
What I do on my social media, I'm kind of like Scott. Like, I don't keep it all just real estate, because of course you start to notice that your views go down, your likes go down, and they're like, oh, there goes that real estate girl, but they know that I'm that real estate girl. But I do try to share my life. I share, we travel a lot. So always they want to know where I am, so I do a lot of reels. I have to get back into it, but I was doing the funny reels and I did get a lot of views and a lot of feedback from that. But yeah, I'm just authentically myself on social media. I don't try to, who you see on social media is who is gonna show up to your showing appointment. I'm not this glamour agent. I'm not pulling up in a Rolls Royce, and no, I'm not picking you up in a all black car. I am who I am. I love life. I'm funny. I'm crazy, and that's who my clients get, and that's who they fall in love with, and that's who they refer clients to, because they know who I am. They know that I'm a real person, and at the end of the day, I'm going to do whatever is necessary to get you to the closing table, because we did not come this far to be delayed or denied. So whether that's giving up commission or, just a little bit, don't tell nobody that. Okay. Whether that's giving up commission or, whatever it looks like, I do what I need to do to get my clients to the closing table. I've never really lost a deal other than when I was on site, and that wasn't my fault, So yeah, but I literally had to transition my page from being on site to come into general sales, because all my clients knew I was on site. So they were like calling me to refer business to me, but then I had to refer it out. So I literally had to change my complete whole being on social media back to a general sales agent. And my best friend was like, you did that. Like, your pages are all real estate and they know, and you're selling and you posting. So I would just say, as a tip, Garrett, you cannot be a secret agent. I want you to do that press release tonight and have it aired tomorrow. You have to let the people know who you are and what you do and what services you offer and how you get paid, because the people that love us want to see us win. We work for free. So they need to know that I don't get paid until I close a deal, and I don't close deals if I don't have clients. So the people around you need to know who you are, what you do, and how you get paid. That way they can help you win, because every time somebody says real estate, I have ear hustlers all over Atlanta. Okay. When they hear real estate, they need to call me.
That's
I need some ear hustlers. I need some ear hustlers.
We need a street team. Okay. I need people out here passing flyers. You said real estate? Okay. Yeah.
I'll be quick. I have 3 tips. One of them, and we're not picking on you, Garrett, I promise, is show your face. So my first tip is show your face. Like, seriously, show your face. If you can't do it 7 days a week, at least get the majority of them, four out of the 7. Because I know some people are uncomfortable, and I'm like that with video. So I'm going to go into the second one, video. If you're not doing video right now, whether it's Reels, YouTube Shorts, long video, or TikToks or TikToks, whatever, then you're already in, behind at the train station, and everybody done left the train station. So show your face, video. And then the third one is be intentional and have a call to action. So anytime I'm doing anything related to my listings or buy, there's always a link. So call to action, call me at this number, click this link for more info. And so show your face, video, and call to action, but above all, the video.
Yep.
All I got.
Right.
I love that. I just wanted to say too, because we're wrapping up, that for anyone in the audience, this is evergreen content, right? This content is forever relevant. So if you're watching this, just know that if you feel like you haven't yet gotten plugged in the way that you want to be plugged in to make friends and partnerships across the industry, all you've got to do is reach out to people. That's literally how I've made most of my friends. I've met only 3 of you in person, but I feel like I've known you for longer, Joan. So, reach out to people, get connected, call and say hello. I can't believe sometimes the friendships that I've made at EXP, it just blows my mind. And some of them have literally begun by giving someone a call and saying, hey, I'm Jessica Nieto with EXP Realty. And it seems like as soon as you get through the I'm Jessica Nieto with EXP Realty, it's like, boom, hey, if you're feeling alone, which many of us in real estate, we feel alone much of the time, or however dark that is for you right now. Or if you go through it later, just pick up the phone. You never know, one phone conversation could totally change the trajectory of your day or your entire career. So thank you all for being here. Jump in tomorrow into EXP World. We're going to have a Pride Parade, and this is brought to you by the People Team at EXP Realty. Yes, so there's going to be music, and it starts off at the Pirate Ship. I'm not going to give you all the details because we want to keep this evergreen content. Just know that you need to go to EXP LGBTQ plus Pride Network on Workplace and join. Whether you're an ally, whether you're a member of the community, you have someone in the family that's a member of the community, come and support. It's a really great place to be engaged with a lot of fun people. So thank you, everyone. Let's just wrap up with one last fire round. How can everyone find you on social media?
Right here, Texas Real Estate Gal. You have my handle right there. You can, and my handle's at Texas Real Estate Gal. And that's how you can find me on Instagram. Click on my bio link and it'll take you to every social I have.
Same, my Instagram, List Property with Scott. Same on Facebook. You can hit my link and has all the contacts for me. Anytime, I don't put my phone on Do Not Disturb often. So hit me up. I'll probably get back to you really quick.
Yeah, mine is under Agile Home Team. So it doesn't matter whether you're on Facebook, Instagram, whatever, but you can also find me. The nice part about my name being spelled uniquely is whenever you search it, I usually come right to the top. So.
And I'm Joan Thomas on all platforms. I think if you type in Joan Thomas on all platforms, it'll pop up. My Instagram is Joan_sales_Atlanta, but you can type in Joan Thomas. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on TikTok. I'm on Facebook. Did I say Facebook? Yeah, I'm on all of those. So I'm everywhere. So just type in Joan Thomas, and I'm probably going to be the only little brown girl that's named Joan Thomas. So that's how you can find me. With the rainbow flag, because the flag is in there somewhere.
I love that. And I'm Jessica Nieto. if you haven't gotten yourself optimized on Google, one tip I would say, go with the same thing on every platform. You'll find a lot of success with that, and post on as many platforms as you can. Thank you all for being here. Please join the LGBTQ plus Pride Network. And I wanted to give a special shout out to all of our support. We have an amazing, of course, 1EXP. We've got the Pride Network, but I want to give a thanks to our corporate leadership, our marketing team, our content team, everyone who's helped support, but specifically to the DEI team. We have some amazing staff within the DEI team that has supported us. They're behind the scenes. They're in EXP world, making sure that we can produce this content today. So thank you so much. Thank you to all our volunteers at EXP Realty, to all of our agents and owners, and to our leadership for giving us a space and a platform to have a voice and to grow and learn from each other. So thank you, everyone. Happy Pride Month. And make sure you go to the Pride Network so you can download all the goodies and submit a video to win some prizes. Thank you so much.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys. Love y'all. See ya.